Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexa and I make content related to finances, and then I want to sprinkle in productivity and overall health. In this video, I'm going to be talking about if you had zero savings, how you should start, and then also where you should be putting your savings. I had just a little bit of savings coming out of high school, maybe $1,000 just from the one job that I had this summer before I went into college. So I was a waitress, and then I had to buy a lot of things from my dorm, and I paid my way through school, and I have a video kind of going into my debt, and I'll link that in the description box. I wanted to have money for gas and then a little bit saved up for groceries if I needed to, but I did also have a meal plan. Just wanted to have money for an emergency just in case my mom couldn't send me any money because she was going through her own kind of emergencies, being a single mom. So I didn't want to rely on my mom at the time, just in case something happened to her and then something happened to me at the same time and she couldn't help me. So that's why I had about $1,000 saved just coming out of high school. I worked jobs every single year I was in college. I didn't work during the school year freshman year, but I did work at the restaurant that I worked at the summer before over winter break, and then again the summer before sophomore year. Starting sophomore year all the way through the end of junior year, I was an RA. When I had that job, you got a meal plan, you got your housing paid for. I also accumulated between $60 to $90 a month stipend for fun stuff. That was, on top of like our free housing or our free meal plan. They gave us $60 to $90 depending on what year you were. And then you could work extra hours at the front desk in the weekends and kind of off hours, like after 4 o'clock, to earn a little bit more money at the hourly rate that the state required. I would pick up a few shifts here and there and then work at the desk. Senior year, I didn't want to be an RA anymore, and I knew that if I was going to live off campus, I was going to need to come up with the money to pay for my rent. I worked 3 different jobs because no job was going to give me all of the hours that I wanted, and I wanted to have options. I worked at the Student Success Center. I helped people with resumes, interviews, their cover letters, general career advice. I also worked at the front desk of the dorms again because there was 4 hours every Thursday where the RAs were in meetings. Because they couldn't work the desks, they hired other people to work the desks. And since I was an RA and I knew a lot of the dorms pretty well, I got that job pretty easily. I would just do homework. I would get paid hourly to just sit there and answer questions, but nobody ever came by, especially if you knew which desk to ask for. So I picked the desk at the apartment buildings, and so no one ever came down for anything. They all had their own stuff. And so I would just sit there, be at the computer, and do all my homework or apply for jobs, whatever I needed to do. And it was great, except I never went out on Thursday nights, but I don't really regret that. My third job was working in the engineering building. I helped do some tours over the departments for incoming students that were interested in engineering, and then just kind of answer their questions if they had any. With my 3 jobs, I think I saved close to $4,000. Again, I had to move and I had to pay for a lot of things, and so I depleted my savings to $1,000 with all of my moving costs. And then also I didn't have a paycheck for 3 weeks after I moved here. I had 3 weeks of groceries and rent to pay and deposits and all of that with no income. Started to listen to a lot of different advice on YouTube from people that are wealth advisors or also just accountants, and then people that are wealthy themselves. And then I started listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks, reading some finance books. And so what I've come up with is now going to be in this video. What I learned right off the bat is, like, you have to have everything in a high yield savings account. It's free money. You put it into the bank, a normal bank. For example, Chase has a 0.02 APY. So they really, for every $100 you put in the bank, they give you 2 cents. If you go somewhere, like I have my savings account with Capital One. I'm looking at maybe changing to SoFi here soon, because Capital One has a 3.4% APY right now. It's somewhere between 3 and 4%. But what that means is every $100 you put in the bank, they'll give you $3 over the year. After you open up a high yield savings account and you start depositing money into there, I would get at least 1 month of all of your necessary expenses. So just in case you lose your job, everything that you would have to pay for in 1 month. Find out what that number is and save that amount into your savings account. And then a lot of people that have no savings are usually, they go hand in hand with people who are in debt, and that was me. And so I had student loan debt, and I knew that I wanted to pay that off first because the interest was really high. A general rule of thumb I've learned from a few different books is throw most of your money where the highest interest is. So if you have a bunch of credit card debt and that's at almost 30% of interest, you should be putting all of your extra money towards paying that debt off because it's accumulating faster than any kind of interest you're gaining. That should be your main focus. Like, get 1 month of emergency savings and then get rid of all your high interest debt, which I think is above 6%. But I got rid of all my debt above 3% before I proceeded. 1 month of emergency savings, pay off any higher interest debt, and then we can move on to step 2. Whatever deductibles you have, whether that's medical insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, those deductibles tend to be high. So for example, my insurance does not kick in until I've paid $1,700 in out of pocket. So I have $1,700 saved in my high yield savings account that is earning interest just sitting there. So anytime that I have a medical expense, I can take money out of my savings account and then use that to pay my deductible off, so I don't have to use the money that is coming in every month to pay for these expenses that I know are going to come up. Step 3 is to save at least $1,000 for a random emergency. So let's say that your car needs maintenance. It usually does. Even if you just get an oil change, if that's the only car maintenance that you have that year, that's going to run you anywhere from $50 to $120 probably, and maybe even more depending on what part of the country you live in. But I've had my oil changes as low and as high as that. Living in the Midwest to South region, that's the range of prices I've seen. There's a lot of statistics out there saying that a lot of Americans can't pay for a $1,000 emergency, so that's kind of why I threw that number out there. Just save another $1,000 for any kind of random emergency. Step 4, move up your 1 month of emergency savings to 3 to 6 months of emergency savings. Right now I'm at 3 months emergency savings because I am saving for smaller goals. Like, I have a 2013 small car. I imagine I'll be needing to replace my car in the next 5 years with the amount of miles that are on it. It has 200,000 miles on it because I literally will get in my car and drive myself anywhere across the country. I went to school in Arkansas and then lived in Houston, and there were many weekends that I would just say, I need to go home this weekend. And then I would drive myself all the way down to Houston, and then on a Friday, and then Sunday, drive myself all the way back to Arkansas. And there was one time I did that twice in 1 month, which is crazy. Who let me do that? I racked up a lot of miles in my car. And then I drive frequently from Kansas City to Houston because I have a dog who doesn't do well with others, and flying with him is expensive. And if I want to take him with me and save money on dog care, then I have to drive. So I do make a lot of trips, and then I have a lot of friends in Texas, and so I find myself driving to Dallas and driving to Austin, and then I have friends in Fayetteville still in Arkansas, and so then I'll go visit them. I end up just in my car a lot. And so anyways, it has a lot of miles. I imagine it will have many more. I already have another road trip planned this year, so I'm going back to Houston at least twice in my car. So that's why I only have 3 months of emergency savings and not 6. After you have saved the 3 to 6 month range and you pick whatever months you're comfortable going about your life with, I would start saving for smaller things that you tend to spend a lot of money on, or short-term goals that you know are going to deplete your savings. Like, the car is a sinking fund. Or if you have a trip coming up out of the country and you want to save $3,000 for that trip, that is a sinking fund. You're saving the money to then use it. I now save a little bit of money every month for just gifts in general. Usually around Christmas time, I tend to want to spend a lot of money on my friends and my family, and I don't want to be stressed about that, and I want to just give in to that feeling of generosity, so I save money for that. I also save money for just random fun things, like if I want to buy a ticket to a concert, or if I want to spend a little bit extra money buying a new purse or something that I wouldn't have in my monthly budget. I have a little bit of money set aside for that. After that, then go back to the 6 months of emergency savings. After that, honestly, I think you should focus on doing any kind of investments you can, doing more than your max 401k. I can make another video about my investment strategy right now based on where I am in my timeline, because right now I don't invest as much as I imagine I will in like 5 years, but that's because I am in a different phase of my life. And so that's kind of my strategy for savings and the order of operations that I have built based on the information I've personally consumed. If anyone else has a different order they would put these in, or maybe something else that I'm not thinking of that would be good to include, please add those in the comments. Leave a like if you found this video helpful, and I hope that you all start saving. But yeah, I'll see you next time.